So recently, Meta released their new model Muse Glimmer, and it is actually said to be one of the state of the art models to run on your local machine. And with that, I am definitely sure it has become even more complex to understand which model is probably good for what particular type of a use case. So I thought I'll make a video in which we'll be talking about what are the different models available for different tasks, and we'll try to classify which one of these are good for your different use cases. I'll be keeping the primary general use cases as well as software engineering use cases in mind, and also we will be considering that, let's say if you want to consider some local models, or maybe if you want to consider them via APIs, what are some of the good baseline models that you can actually consider. This video will actually help you to avoid any confusion with all of these new AI models coming into the picture. So without any further ado, let's just start. So before moving forward in the video, I would like to tell you about the brand new offering of Algocamp, which is the Lambda 5.0 course. So this is the fifth iteration of the flagship advanced backend development course with Node.js, but this time it's bigger and better. This time, Algocamp has introduced a lot of new projects. The whole ecosystem is going to be more AI powered. There are projects including Lovable Clone, your own AI fitness tracker, own AI interview planner and interview prep, I would say, tool. There is some deep engineering concepts around distributed transaction, using which you're going to make a payment system or a payment wallet system altogether. There's going to be a workflow manager project. You're going to try to understand how exactly you can use the concepts of, let's say, CDC in order to implement different projects. A lot of deep technical projects and deep technical understanding you are going to get. This particular course is going to focus on making sure that you understand the system architectures and deep system concept that a lot of senior engineers are always involved with, and try to make projects on top of that. You are going to see actual scaling strategies, replication strategies, how you can make sure that your system is fault tolerant, and concepts around, let's say, Kafka, concept around Redis and whatnot. There is so many different projects that are actually added, including a WhatsApp system, something like a Netflix-like system, a Twitch-like system, a lot of AI-powered tools. We are going to actually make something like Lovable Clone and whatnot. Do check out the link in the description section below. Get the idea about all the projects that you are going to get and build. This is something that will take you from an absolutely beginner level backend developer to a very advanced level backend engineer altogether. We have received such great testimonies from the last set of batches, and people are actually loving what we have already built, but this time we have made sure that this is bigger and better. So do check out the link in the description section below and use this coupon code to get massive discounts on the current price. And now let's go back to the video. So if you will see the major category of models that are existing right from 2024 to 2026, you can actually divide them into the following categories. That is the flagship models, the main workforce, or I would say the workhorse set of models, the light models, some specialized models, and your local models, right? So let's start taking a deeper dive into each one of them so that you can understand what models are good for your use cases. So the first of all, you need to understand the difference between these three. The flagship models, the most premium models, are the one which is having the maximum logical and reasoning capabilities. Now, with these logical and reasoning capabilities comes the cost factor as well, because they will be consuming a lot more tokens, and the cost for each of the input and the output corresponding tokens is going to be significantly higher. And because of this, because they have a lot high reasoning, and they will be able to do significantly complex set of reasoning and significantly complex set of tasks, they are going to be relatively slower as well. So if you want situations where the model should be replying extremely fast, these flagship models are not meant for this. So their primary use case is very complex software architecture, deep brainstorming, and multi-step planning. That means, let's say if you want to build a feature, but that feature is complex, right? You might have to touch base upon, let's say, a couple of different libraries, a couple of different services. You might have to interact with your front end and the back end. There is some security aspect of the things. You need to write tests. That means you need an end-to-end plan for a feature. This feature is, let's say, going to be comprising of a smaller individual set of tickets. That's where these flagship premium tier models are going to be helpful, so that you can prepare the detailed plan of what exactly is to be done, and at what particular place, which particular file, what exact changes are expected to be done. Then your mid-tier models. These are also highly competent, but they have an added advantage. Their thinking capability is going to be slightly lesser than the flagship models like, let's say, Opus Fable. but their speed is going to be faster, right? Their implementation and their reasoning speed, the speed with which they are going to give you the output set of tokens, is going to be relatively faster than the premium models. And of course, the cost is also going to be significantly lesser than the flagship models. So their primary use case will be your 80% workload. Like for example, now you have the plan that what exactly you want to be coded. That coding effort you can actually do with these mid-tier models, right? So you're all the casual coding efforts, standard chatting, and let's say getting some answer and reasoning, all of that, I would say day-to-day effort should be handled by these. And then you have the lightweight models. Now, in the lightweight models, the most important thing that you have to keep in mind is their capability is going to be significantly lower than the premium and the mid-tier models, but they're going to be extremely faster in generating the output tokens. And of course, the cost factor is also going to be relatively very small, right? So you can have any kind of like a, let's say, real-time routing, very quick question answering, right? A sub agent where if let's say you have a very small sub agent that is going to do a very specific small, let's say, task, though these are the situations where light models are going to be useful. Now, what are the flagship models? So, for example, models like Claude Fable 5, right? GPT 5.6 Soul, right? I've also categorized Gemini 3.1 here, but of course, you can kind of like categorize them this a bit lower to, of course, Claude Fable and GPT 5.6. Grok 4.5 and the later versions of Grok as well, and the newer Kimi models, all of these are the flagship models that I've actually categorized here. And one thing that you have to technically keep in mind is that these models are meant for significantly complex tasks like security related problems, complex coding situations, and all of these problems can be significantly better handled by flagship models. But the problem is, if you will do every single thing with the flagship model, the cost of the tokens, like the tokens consumed and the cost per million input and the output tokens, is going to be significantly higher for your case. Then comes the your regular mid-tier models. So your Claude Sonnet, GPT 5.6 Terra, Gemini 3.6 Flash, all of these, or let's say the open weight models like DeepSeek V4, GLM 5.2, and the latest newer versions of, let's say, DeepSeek, all of these are going to be the part of the mid-tier set of models where you would like to do the regular set of work. For example, let's say if you want to build a RAG, how you want to plan the implementation of the user query, that can be done by your frontier models. But when you're going to start parsing the document, or let's say get extraction of the facts from the documents, those efforts you can actually drop down to the mid-tier models like Sonnet. And then your you need to also keep in mind the difference between the open weight models and the closed models. Like for example, if you are using Claude Fable or GPT 5.6, you need to actually pay per token and directly call their hosted APIs, right? But in open weight models, the good part is that the model weights are technically downloadable. You can self-host them, so you still have more control on the privacy aspect of the things, and you can actually run them on local hardwares. So this is also a I would say important thing that you should keep in mind. Depending on your application's nature, maybe this is something you want to also consider. Right. And then comes your lightweight models. As I said, models like Haiku 4.5, GPT 5.6 Luna, and the other models which are lightweight, significantly faster, are going to be coming in this category. You should use these lightweight models when you have a let's say a barrage of tasks to be done, like you have high volume traffic of, let's say, PDF reading. Let's say you have a lot of sub agents that are going to do very small sub part of your very big problem. All of these kind of like automations you should do with the lightweight models, right? And when you're designing applications also, you should categorize that which part of the step should be handled by a mid-tier model, which part of the step should be handled by a light model, which part of the step should be handled by a frontier model. After that, you have some specialized models which can do some specific tasks like coding, or let's say image generation, video generation, right? These particular models are specifically fine-tuned for these specific tasks, right? So let's say if coding is your use case or image generation is your use case, you need to pick these kind of like models, right? So let's say, for example, for video 3.1, for coding, let's say the latest Kimi models, or let's say even Claude Opus 5, or let's say the Fable 5 are very good for coding, but the Kimi models are very specific. They are in terms of cost, they are very effective, and the overall code output is also going to be relatively very great. So you need to actually check for the speciality of the model, that what this particular model is able to do. Now, when let's say if you are looking at Composer, for example, from Cursor. So that is very specific for your coding related use case. But if you see Opus 5, it's a more general purpose model that you can actually use. A lot of people nowadays don't like Opus 5 or let's say Opus 4.8 because of the lot of jargon that it is generating. But you can actually now control it with the settings that whether you want it to be very verbose or not. But overall, depending on your use case, you need to actually choose the set of models, right? Also, keep one thing in mind that if you are able to run the mock models locally, right? If let's say the models are significantly smaller, like the Phi 4 model or the Gemma 4 model, right? These are relatively smaller models and you can actually run them on your local hardware or let's say self-host them. This is going to save significant amount of cost for you. Right. So how exactly real-time AI systems actually work? Let me give you a brief overview on that. So whenever the user is going to prompt you something, you will be having a routing layer in between, right? So you can use platforms like Light LLM, Open Router, whatever it is, so that you can reroute your queries based on whatever your requirement is. So whenever you have your, let's say, the task where maximum amount of effort around planning, detail, figuring out, debugging, these kind of efforts are to be done, you will redirect those to your flagship models. Then whenever you want your actual hardcore work, major workload to be executed, that's where your mid-tier models are going to come up. Whenever you have any specialized use case like image generation, video generation, then your specialized model should be technically targeted. And whenever you have a barrage of small but huge number of tasks where you need quick responses, that's where your I would say smaller model should come. And you can have option of locally hosting these open weight models as well. So, final mental model, the flagship models like, let's say, Fable, GPT 5.6, Opus 5, these are for your hardest and multi step task. Your mid tier or the workhorses, like your, let's say, Sonnet, is for your 80% of your regular day to day task. Your light models are for very high amount of, but very fast expected tasks. Specialized models for, let's say, special coding efforts or let's say voice or audio efforts, video generation. For these, you will be having specialized model. And let's say if you want too much control on how the model is hosted, the privacy aspects of the things, then you can actually host the local models. In fact, Meta also released a kind of like a state of the art model for locally hosting the model. It's a 30 billion parameter model, right? I think the name is Muse Glimmer. So a lot of things are actually coming up in the AI space, but every single model that you are actually seeing, you can categorize this in these 5 categories, and based on what you exactly want to do, you can pick the model correspondingly. So next time whenever a particular lab is releasing their model, try to figure out which particular of these 5 categories it actually lands. It will help you to simplify a lot of things and you will be able to relate. Like for example, let's say you already are aware about a recent mid-tier model and another mid-tier model comes up, you can be sure that a lot of similarities will be there. You don't need to go and see every single I would say line of the paper or the article that they have released. You can assume that these two models have similar capabilities. They are in the similar, I would say, category, and both of them will be doing a similar kind of like a task. So let's say if one of them is, let's say, a slightly cheaper one, you can actually try in your application and see whether it can replace your existing mid-tier model or not. So that's how you should try to actually iterate and work on which particular model is best for you. So I hope this overall discussion on what one particular model can actually do, what are the different set and categories of models available that you can actually work with is making sense to everybody. If you have any questions, do let me know in the comment section below. I would be happy to answer all of them. That being said, let's wrap this particular video here. We're going to meet soon in the next set of videos. Till then, take care. Bye bye. I'm Sanket Singh, signing off.